And once his political career ended, former President Carter served our country in many ways, but he's pretty well known for his work with Habitat for Humanity.
Joining us now, Amy and Flora from the Cadillac branch of the organization to share with us details on an upcoming memorial to honor the late president. Welcome to the show. Thank you both so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
So, before we get started, tell us a little bit about Habitat for Humanity here in Cadillac, Amy.
So Habitat for Humanity builds houses. We build houses for people that do walk away with a mortgage, a home, and a future. So we really try to give a hand up, not a handout. And we currently are in the process of building 3 homes, and we will get those people in their forever homes this spring.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Quite a project.
Great organization. You guys have done a lot of great work nationwide. I think a lot of us can just envision that photo or some of the photos we've seen of President Carter over the years. You know, using a hammer, helping to build, spreading the word about Habitat. Talk to us about your impressions of President Carter and the impact maybe he had on the organization.
So one thing he said, and this kind of really hit home for me when he said, I feel like my ex-presidency was more influential than my presidency. He was part of Habitat for over 36 years. Wow. Him and his wife were on job sites and did all kinds of stuff. I mean, I still remember the picture of him, like most of us probably do, with a black eye.
Yes.
He was back at work the next day on the job site with a hammer in his hand again. So he just was really an inspiration.
Wow.
Flora, how important or inspirational was that, do you think, for not only just drawing attention to Habitat itself, but I mean, now we've got generations of people who know who Carter is, and maybe at some level, once the president has kind of gone back into the shadows, the younger generations just don't really know who they are at some point. But Carter is pretty much a household name for a lot of people.
So I believe that he brought the attention needed to Habitat for Humanity, but he never wanted a photo op. He always was there to work, and if he saw somebody on a job site that wasn't working, he was happy to give them a job. So he was just a man of good moral character and servitude, and his calling was to help others, and that's what he did. He just has so much integrity and love for helping others that's what gave him joy.
Now tell us a little bit about the memorial that's coming up. When, where, and how can people participate?
Yeah, so we have a memorial door that people can come in and sign, write a message, anything they really want to do to kind of talk about, the impact or what they feel they may have done for housing. And we will have that in our restore, 7545 East 34 Road here in Cadillac until January 31st of this month. And then you can come in and sign it. We will at some point place that either in a home or some memorialized type way for us to keep that going. So people will do that. Now across all of Habitats, they're doing memorials, most Habitats. So, if you're not local, check out your local Habitat. They may have something they're doing as well.
Wow. I feel like I used to know the answer to this, but had President Carter been to Michigan several times before, or at least once before, to help work on some houses?
Yeah, he was in Michigan for a couple of different projects in Benton Harbor and Detroit. So yes, they've been here. Their presence in Michigan is well known. So yeah, they did some pretty big projects here.
What was the difference that his support made? Because it seems like right when he got involved and started pushing the mission, the Habitat for Humanity really found its leggings all across the nation, because it's everywhere now. Do you feel like he was the catalyst for that, or was he just someone that kind of went along as things grew with the organization?
Absolutely, they were the catalyst. So they did not start Habitat for Humanity. Many people believe they did. They did not. But once they became involved, it became a household name. And it, their notoriety and popularity and just their giving hearts really pushed this so that everyone heard what Habitat for Humanity was. So yes, they both together and him just really did great things for the organization.
Wow. It's interesting to me as well, because presidents will often also go back into the shadows. We don't hear much on a day-to-day or year-to-year about what's George Bush up to, what's Barack Obama even up to at this point. But you'd always, despite the fact they didn't want the attention, you'd always hear something about Jimmy Carter out and about doing something somewhere. And I think that's, like you said, maybe part of his legacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and he still taught Sunday school at his church. He still mowed the lawn at his church. He was just a good, ordinary guy who just loved hard work and helping people. And I think that's why he was such a huge part of Habitat, because people trusted what he was passionate about. So that was
Now,
huge.
we may not have the exact number, which is completely understandable. Could you give us an estimate? How many houses are built through Habitat for Humanity every year?
Well, I do not have that number.
Of course, of course.
But I know that just in Michigan alone, there are almost 50 affiliates of Habitat. So
wow.
they're all over the place. They are not just here, but they're international. Flora and I attended a conference in the spring with Habitat International, and there's people from all over the world there representing Habitat. So it is the largest nonprofit in the world.
Wow.
And it's just we're building houses all over the place and repairing and just trying to keep people in their homes. Safe, affordable housing is kind of the key.
Oh, so it's not just building the house initially, it's maintaining it for the individuals that, I guess, move in.
Well, that, once a Habitat family, always a Habitat family, we say, but also we have a repair program. We get calls daily for people that need some help, some repairs on their house to be able to stay in them. We have a grant right now. We've been on the show before talking about for veterans. So we do repairs with a grant program we have, and that opened back up January 1st. So if you're a veteran or a veteran lives in the household and you need some repairs to your house for safe and healthy homes, that's what Habitat does as well.
Gotcha.
That's great.
Nice.
Now, you already talked a little bit about, just the broader concept of what Habitat does, but Flora, tell us who is actually working on these houses, because you don't have a Habitat, contractor necessarily, but there are many people who work on many different houses all over the place.
Yeah, so we do have a full-time construction manager, so he's kind of in charge of the building of the houses, but we have so many different groups and volunteers that come in with different skill sets that help with the houses, and so we're just very fortunate to be able to have so many people in this community that literally contact us wanting to help out. How can we bring our group? What can we do? So we're super fortunate to have that.
And on that note, how does someone either individually or with their group get involved with Habitat?
So we have hired a volunteer coordinator. She also does priority home repair, but call the local Habitat, your local Habitat, any of them. Most of them have volunteer opportunities, but we locally have just hired a person to oversee that program because of the calls we get and the people that really want to step up and make a difference.
Wow.
That's great. Is winter kind of the slow season?
I imagine.
Winter is
A
the
little
wrapping
slower?
up of the houses we're currently doing and then prepping for our next builds, which will start in spring. So really there used to be a slow period, but we're also doing a project with the local leadership class here. So our construction manager will be busy with that as soon as he can get going. So.
And speaking of that, so we are actually having a fundraiser for that this next Saturday, the 11th, at the WEX, a glow skate from 3 to 5. So people want to come out and have some fun with the glow skate. That all of that money is going to go towards a leadership class, which they've chose Habitat as their project this year.
What?
That's great.
The leadership project, I'm not familiar. What is that?
I'm going to let her talk about it. She's in that class this year.
So the Chamber has a leadership program, and each year, it's a 9-month program. Each year they choose local people from the community that have leadership roles, but it's going to help them with those roles. And each year that leadership class has several people from the community or agencies, nonprofits, submit proposals for projects they would like to have done. So we go through all the projects and we choose one project. And this year, Habitat submitted a multi-use community space. And so they chose our project out of all of them, which was really neat. And so we'll start working on that in the spring. The community space is going to be someplace where we're going to have classes available. You can come rehab some furniture. You can learn, in the summertime, we'll have maybe some classes for school kids to come to learn how to build a birdhouse, different things like that. So it's going to be a great space just for lots of community different learning opportunities.
Wow,
That's
nice.
great.
So come to the glow skate on Saturday.
Perfect. In the last minute or so we have here with you, Amy, talk to us about just kind of a recap of the influence of Jimmy Carter. And I'm curious, maybe your thoughts a few years back when we heard he was getting sick or even diagnosed with the cancer. That obviously stirs a lot of emotion and memories for anyone who's ever been involved with a Habitat project.
Right. So when we attended that conference in Atlanta this spring, he had come to those before. So we were all pretty anxious to see if he would be able to make it, and obviously he wasn't. But the CEO of Habitat International spoke about a story where Jimmy Carter had told him that he was out mowing the lawn at the church that he was a deacon at, and someone pulled up and said, hey, is this the church that Jimmy Carter's a deacon at? To Jimmy Carter. And he says, yeah. And they rolled up their window and drove off. He laughed about it. So, I mean, up until, the last minute, he was just always trying to do good. And if he couldn't do it, he'd speak it. So
He
great.
seemed like a wonderful person that just so happened to be elected president.
Yep, absolutely. And then continued to do wonderful work
Exactly.
for just the common people.
Absolutely.
He grew up without electricity and running water, and for him to help people have safe, affordable housing, that was his mission and goal, and he was just a great spokesman for our organization.
Oh, that's great. Well, Amy and Flora with Habitat for Humanity here in Cadillac, thank you both for being with us. Thanks for sharing the word about the Glow skate coming up this weekend and all the good that Habitat's doing. Appreciate having you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.